The Pacers win. They beat the Wizards. Oh, gosh, it was not a pretty game, and the Pacers not thrilled about the results of the NBA elsewhere, but they got it done late. Pascal Siakam was great, and there's a lot to discuss on today's Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What up, y'all? Happy Wednesday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes, and today, Pacers Wizards. What a doozy for the Pacers, down double digits in both halves, sneaking out a win against the Wizards, who we'll talk about this later, definitely did not put their best foot forward late. You know what the Pacers will say? They only care about the result, and they are right. That's all that matters. They did, in fact, win. They were a Timberwolves meltdown away from this being an excellent Tuesday. We'll talk about all the results around the league, some good, more bad for the Pacers on their quest to clinch home court advantage in the first round. We'll talk about that at the end. We're going to do standing stuff every day the rest of this week until it's official where the Pacers will be. Let's talk about Pacers Wizards. And I need you to meet me at my level. If you're shorter than me, I will squat. If you're taller than me, please squat. Look me dead in the eyes. Get to my level. Because this happens so much and it really confuses me. There have been 2 games this season where effort is like the entire story of the Pacers' loss. And in both of those games, their starters were benched in the game. One was in Chicago. I was there. Body language was terrible. One was at home against Miami. Part body language terrible. Part Kevin Love kicking their butt. Everybody was deflated. They got benched. When effort is the biggest problem, it is so obvious. Like, it never changes. Guys aren't that upset when things are going wrong. They just float through it and chalk it up to one of those nights. I saw so many people during this game that were like, what are they doing? Where is their effort? I'm not saying their defensive effort was awesome. We'll talk about their defense. But this game, the story was so obvious to me. The Pacers couldn't make anything. They finished this game with their worst shooting percentage in a game the entire season. Losses included, like not just worse than a win, like the entire season. This was their worst shooting percentage. 37.9% on all shots for the Pacers in this game. In their franchise history, they entered this game. They were 44-200 in games they shot worse than 38%. In franchise history, that's really bad. It's really hard to win when you shoot this poorly. Pacers were well under that for a while. They were at 34% with a couple minutes to go and actually improved things with some that was the story of the game to me. I know it's so boring to just say like, oh, they finally made shots and they won. And it's like not entirely that. There's a little bit more to it. The NBA is not that simple. But so much of this game for the Pacers' struggles was the opposite of the game they just played against the Wizards a few weeks ago, where they couldn't miss. They could do no wrong, right? Nobody in that game was like, oh, the Wizards' effort's terrible. No, the Pacers just couldn't miss. In this one, they couldn't make anything. They were they made their 10th three, was their first made 3, and their 19th three was their second made 3, and they actually picked it up from there. Oh, it was a doozy. They did finally make shots in the fourth quarter. You can count that as an adjustment. You can count that as them making stuff. They did like up the intensity a little bit, but I was amazed at the way this game was being reacted to. And here, to be clear, I am not excusing poor play. Missing a lot of shots is bad. A team deserves a lot of finger pointing for saying like, hey, you couldn't make the shots you normally make in this game. You couldn't generate the best shots ever. They were not getting into the paint enough. They admitted that after the game, right? Like I think Rick Carlisle said they knew it. Their like efficiency per possession when they got into the paint was in the first half was like 1.4, and on other possessions it was like 0.1 or something terrible, right? Pacers finished this game with 36 points in the paint. They did not play the right way. However, they also missed a ton of shots. I just spent 4.5 minutes over explaining my emotions about the way people reacted to this game. It was bad. The Pacers did not do particularly well in this win. Now I'm going to make the joke I planned on making before I just rambled for 5 minutes to start the podcast. I thought I was done with college basketball after Monday night when Florida played Houston in an ugly game. Florida shot better than the Pacers. Florida 39.6%, Pacers 37.9%. Pacers barely outshoot Houston and Florida from 3 with their robust 25.7% in this game. All right, I have done enough scene setting. The Pacers did not shoot the ball very well. And in the fourth quarter, they won the game because they finally did start to put the ball in the basket. The Pacers, after starting 2 for 19 or 2 for 20, 2 for 19 from deep, one of those two, Tyrese Haliburton made the 19th three. So they were 2 for 19 from deep. They ended up making a lot of their late threes. 5 for 10 in the fourth quarter were the Pacers. 10 for 17 from the field in general. Tyrese Haliburton really came alive late, right? Hitting those threes and getting to the foul line. That was huge as well. And we'll talk about the free throws in a minute. Siakam made both of his shots in the fourth quarter. Those two were the stabilizing forces of this game. The Pacers needed this win. It was like their only layup left on their schedule. And their stars had almost half of their second half points. Siakam had 8. Haliburton had 17 in the second half. 25 of the Pacers, 56 in that half. They really needed anything to click at any point because their offense was so bad. Their highest scoring quarter entering the fourth was 27 in the second quarter, and they're lucky that the Wizards tripped all over themselves that quarter. They really came alive in the fourth, and it was their stars that did it. And some of it was those guys playing better and like generating slightly better shots, I guess I would say. But to me, they just made stuff. I hate that it's so simple, but it was. Haliburton deserves a lot of credit for getting those to go. And Siakam was the only, I would say, consistent for the whole game performer for the Pacers. He had their first 6 points, and right away in my notes, I said, oh, man, they have nothing for him. Alex Sarr, who played awesome. He's guarding Myles Turner. Champagne's like an okay player. He played really well in this game. Like, he doesn't have quite the style. I say this all the time. If you've listened to the show more than once, you've heard this. If you don't have the right speed or stock, like, it's hard to guard Pascal Siakam. And no one had it for the Wizards, and so he scored their first 6 points. I do think it was good that the Pacers had that start. It's obviously a good thing to score points. I also think, like, sometimes when they have games like that, where there is a matchup specifically for Siakam that's so good, the Pacers as a team, this is not a Siakam problem, obviously, that he's scoring and is good, get a little too into like, oh, let's go to the mismatch, right? Let's try to get to that again. Like, they just get out of running their stuff enough. And the shots are still good. Like, they don't take terrible shots hardly ever. There's only been a few games where I criticize their shot quality after the game, but they're just not flowing into it the way that they should or need to at their absolute best. And so it felt like at times this game, they got into that a little too much. And when those kind of games happen, one, their offense looks clunkier, which it absolutely did in this game. Again, they weren't making anything, so the results totally taint what everybody thinks was actually happening, but their process was not particularly awesome at the end of the floor. And the proof of that was, one, I watched the game and can tell you what happened. But two is that usually in those type of games, two players shine because they're the best at breaking out of those settings and looking good. And those two players are Pascal Siakam and Ben Mathurin, and they were both awesome in the first half. The Pacers had 48 points in the first half. 28 of them were from Siakam and Mathurin. The Pacers made 16 shots in the first half. Let me repeat that for you. The Pacers made 16 shots in the first half of the game. Awful offensive finishing. 11 of them were from Siakam or Haliburton. Or excuse me, Siakam or Mathurin. Mathurin got to the foul line a bunch. He was really great in the second quarter. Fantastic. Like, they absolutely needed him to step up on the offensive end because it was just such a bogged down game for them offensively. But in the second half, while they didn't play awesome, they shot it 38% from deep, but not very well at the rim. And it just wasn't great. They still got to 56 because they started to play their style just a little bit better. And that got everyone involved. McConnell made a shot. Mathurin made a shot. He took 6, and they were all decent looks. Toppin made 3. Turner made 2. Nesmith made 2. Like, everybody, and I'm not saying they should always be aiming for balance, but that showed that they were at least, like, playing the way they want, getting the shots that they want. And, of course, it's possible you go a whole game and variance just kills you, and that almost happened. But finally, they stuck with it, and shots just went in just enough late. There a lot more went into this game. In fact, 2 key things I haven't said yet were big parts of this Pacers win. One of them being something the Pacers did very well in this game. They had 2 season highs and other stats I haven't mentioned yet that got them this win, and I'll explain those in a second. There's another thing that happened in this game that helped the Pacers win that was really peculiar. NBA, you got to fix this. All coming up here on Locked On Pacers. This show is sponsored by Betterhelp. Taking care of your mental health is just as important as taking care of your physical health. but traditional in-person therapy can be expensive, often ranging from $100 to $250 per session. That is where BetterHelp comes in. With online therapy, you get quality care at a price that makes sense, saving you time and money. Therapy is not just for life's toughest moments. Everybody can be going through something at any time. Therapy can help with everyday stress, learning how to set boundaries, or developing positive coping skills. Having access to support when you need can make a big, big difference. Athletes talk about it all the time. Everybody talks about it all the time because it's very important to them. Your well-being is worth it. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Second listen recommendations. One, Locked On NBA, because game night, Wes Goldberg and I hosted. You can hear about every game in the league from me and him. Two, Locked On Wizards, because the Pacers just played them. And you can hear about the Wizards. Probably thinking a perfect night for the Wizards. Their young players played well, but they still lost. Or three, Locked On Nuggets. I mean, what on earth is going on? The Grizzlies first. Now this. The Nuggets with 6 days to go in the season. 5. Fired their coach and GM. Hello. What did the Pacers break them on Sunday? Who knows? Locked On Nuggets knows. Go check out that for your second listen. Two other things that were huge for the Pacers in this game and getting it done. One is something they did themselves very well. I did mislead you slightly earlier, and I'll admit it now. They had 36 points in the paint. That's true. That does not fully tell the story of their paint pressure in this game, because the Pacers did take 37 free throws in this game. Not all of that was from paint pressure, and I'll explain why in a second, but they did do a good job getting to the foul line in this game. In fact, 37 free throws, their second most of the season. Utah last week actually is first. They took 38 in that game. If they take over 30 free throws in a game this season, they are now 6-2. That's obviously great. You're getting lots of easy chances to score. The two losses were close games. One was the game in LA where Austin Reeves kicked their butts, and one was their home game in overtime against the Sixers where Tyrese Maxey saved them. They are very close to undefeated at over 30 free throws. Duh. Easy chances to score are going to help you win. And so the Pacers, I do think, did a good job in general of earning free throws. 11 for Tyrese Haliburton, something he made a little face, was like, hey, you see that? After the game. That's a huge number for him. 7 for Mathurin, 6 for Toppin, who I thought did a good job adjusting and attacking the paint in this game. 8 for Myles Turner, who did a very good job on the offensive glass in this game. He and Siakam both, right? That was huge for the Pacers to take 39 free throws to just 15 for the Wizards. And so you can point to a lot of numbers and be like, well, the Wizards made more threes and they made 5 more shots and they won the rebounding battle by 1. How on earth did the Pacers keep up? The turnover battle was 11-7. That favors the Pacers a little bit, but it's offset by the rebounding. How did the Pacers keep up? Free throws. They made 18 more in this game. So part of that was rim pressure, which wasn't good for the Pacers until pretty late in the second half. Part of it was just the Wizards fouling a crazy amount. Stupid fouls too, not at the basket, away from the play, far away from the play in some cases. 3 fouls for Champagny, 3 fouls for Keyshawn George, 4 for Poole, 4 for Carrington, 5 for Colby Jones, and 5 for AJ Johnson. Those were not all shooting fouls, and I didn't even say every player's name. 27 fouls committed by the Wizards, 16 for the Pacers. For reference, 27 fouls is the most by any Pacers opponent the entire season. It was previously 26 4 times, and you'll never guess when they have, I can't find the cutoff, over 22 fouls committed by their opponents. They are now 6-4. Turns out getting fouled is good. In this game, they got fouled a lot, and a lot of just what are you doing kind of fouls from the Wizards. And so the Pacers were in the bonus a lot. That is not paint pressure free throws. It's still good to get them, obviously. But they were in the bonus really early in 2 different quarters. I want to say it was the first first for sure. And then third, I think as well. I can't remember. But 2 quarters where it was definitely the second quarter because they scored a bunch of points. It might have been the fourth. But regardless, I think I just mentioned every quarter. My memory is not very good, apparently. They were in the bonus early twice in this game, and that really helped them. So despite a lot of indicators being like, holy cow, the Pacers were awful. They couldn't make a shot. They didn't make threes until very late in the game. They lost the rebounding battle. That was huge. Living at the foul line was huge in this game. The other thing that was huge for the Pacers in this game, Wizards, what's your motivation level to win this game? Alex Sarr was awesome. Alex Sarr made 8 shots. He had 12 boards and 6 assists. He was plus 16 in this game. Jordan Poole, 7 for 14 for 19 points. Actually did pretty well, making 3 threes, plus 13 in this game. Keyshawn George was a plus 14 in this game. Justin Champagnie was making shots, 8 for 13 from the field. He made 4 threes. The Wizards' closing lineup, despite all of those players having nice nights, was Bub Carrington. First of all, Bub Carrington, Colby Jones, and JT Thor played the entire fourth quarter of this game. AJ Johnson was in the closing lineup for the Wizards, and then Champagnie was. George and Sarr started the quarter. They both came out for Champagnie and Johnson. Not saying the Wizards didn't put their best foot forward late in this game, but I am saying the Wizards maybe didn't put their best foot forward late in this game. Sarr was killing. He was awesome. And they played JT Thor, who was minus 30 down the stretch. Part of the reason he was minus 30 is because he played in the fourth quarter. It was so bizarre. And they've done this a couple times recently. They kind of not have to. That's stupid. I hate that the NBA has set up this losing incentivized system so much. And I have my own solutions for tanking. That's not what this podcast is going to be about. I'll do that in the summer. The Wizards are one loss away from tying with the Jazz. Like, I get that the top 4 teams have the same odds, but the floor change from that is potentially immense. The Wizards don't want to win at all. They're only 2 wins away from Charlotte. They want to keep it in that 2 spot at the worst and get to 1 if they can. They are incentivized to do exactly that. It sucks. They beat the Kings last week, and they're probably kicking themselves for it because of the Jazz record. So the Pacers benefited a ton from this, but clearly, and a couple of people have messaged me being like, this is not the first time they've done this. The Wizards did not put their best group on the floor late in this game at all. Pacers massively benefited. Some clunkers of shots late from everybody but AJ Johnson. AJ Johnson was awesome in this game. Really nice looking trade for the Wizards to get him in that Chris Middleton deal. But it was weird. It was just weird. We all know why, unfortunately, but I mean, Poole's playing well. Sarr was playing amazing. It was goofy. Last couple things, some big notes, some small. Pascal Siakam returned from injury after not playing in Denver. I asked him about it after the game, said it was good for him to have a day off. Just in general, was great. 11 for 19, 10 boards, 24 points. Was very often that calming, important presence that the Pacers needed to score in moments where they couldn't find baskets, or was just somebody that the Wizards had to like panic about and actually rotate on defense for. In this game, only 1 3-point attempt. So he was like 18 twos. I would guess that that's pretty close to the highest by any Pacer this season. He was awesome, and they needed him to be awesome. Speaking of injuries, Tyrese Haliburton, scary halftime. Right before halftime, Tyrese Haliburton hits a buzzer beater, huge shot, tied the game, and then he skids into the crowd and hits kind of a camera guy, hits a chair of a fan, and immediately the broadcast cuts to him because they think he's going to be celebrating, or the Jumbotron in the arena as well, and he's grimacing like bad. He went off the floor. He did play the rest of the game. He had a pad on when he came out for halftime warmups. He said, obviously he's had back problems his whole life, and he said that before, but he said it was court burn, and he was bleeding. He's bleeding, hence the grimacing. That will hurt, yes. So no long-term concerns there, but that is exactly why in the third segment that we'll talk about in a second, tonight could have been even better for the Pacers because that's the exact fear of this point of the season. Haliburton did not start very well in this game, but certainly finished strong. 22 points for him, was the second most on the Pacers. 6 assists, not quite there at his usual levels with the passing. Ben Mathurin, second quarter, ignited a pretty great game from him offensively with his 17 points. They needed it in this game when no one else could score. The rest of the Toppin did have his moments with 12 points, but 2 points from Thomas Bryant, who barely played. Tough game for him. 2 points on 5 shots for TJ McConnell, who hit a big one in the fourth quarter, but largely struggled. Jarris Walker, only 5 minutes in this game. And these are the kind of games that, like, this is why it's so important that he's been playing well of late, because he has games like this where you're just like, is Jarris Walker okay? Like, he's not, doesn't seem like he's putting his best foot forward or trying his hardest, and then he didn't play in the second half. And he'd been putting a ton of effort in and playing very well in every game leading up to this. Who did try very hard was Johnny Furphy. Johnny Furphy was quite good, +9 in his 6.5 minutes, 2 steals, nose for the ball defender. he keeps showing stuff. I mean, he's got a lot of work to do on the offensive end to be more efficient, but they played him in rotation minutes, and I was like, yeah, they should keep him on the floor. He's doing a good job. So lots of weird games, up and down stuff. Nembhard and Nesmith combined to go 3 for 13. Turner goes 4 for 13. Like, a lot for the Pacers to overcome. They shot their worst shooting percentage of the season. They were not crisp on defense. The Wizards were making a ton of fadeaway mid-range shots. Alex Sarr kicked their butt. Some nice passing from him. Pacers fell asleep on a few cutters early. But when they dialed in, they finally made enough shots to get it done. and they won. Their 48th win. That's more than last season. Progress for the Pacers after their dreadful start. And it could have been the perfect day. It was so close to what I have considered a perfect day for the Pacers. Alas, an imperfect day in many ways. Standings. What happened? What happens next for the Pacers? Let's talk about that to close out today's show. Before we do that, we got to talk about Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash and non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risks. Rate subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 per month for 1 year for first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate. Claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC is a member of SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. Back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Locked On Nuggets, again, has to be your second listen. What on earth is happening in Denver? Actually, what is happening in Denver? Insane stuff. Or Locked On Magic. Congrats to the Magic. They're probably going to win the Southwest Division after beating the Hawks on Tuesday. They need to hang up a sad upside-down banner that says we won the division despite being under 500. But congrats to the Magic. They are playing pretty well of late. Okay. It was so close. So if all of these 4 games went the way I'm about to say, the Pacers would have clinched the 4 seed and exactly been 4. They couldn't have gotten to 3. They couldn't have fallen to 5. If they won, the Bucks lost, the Knicks won, and the Cavs won. The Knicks would have been secure at 3. The Cavs would have been secure at 1. The Pacers would have been secure at 4. And the Bucks would have been 5 or 6. So the Pacers would know their seed, and they could have controlled everything the rest of the way. How much they want to play guys, how much they don't want to play guys. Their games would not have mattered. They would have been the 4 seed no matter what. And then you don't have scary moments like Tyrese Haliburton grimacing, hurting his back. And the Pacers obviously took care of business. It was very ugly and took some free throws and some inspired play late, but they got it done. They got their part done. The Cavs won. We will talk about why that is important later. The Cavs smoked the Bulls. The Cavs have the best record in the East this season. Congrats to them. We talked about that with Danny Cunningham yesterday, if you want more on the Cavs situation. Then the Bucks and Wolves were playing. We were watching this in the bowels of Gamebridge late. Remember, a Wolves win after the Pacers won would have locked the Pacers into home court advantage. Their magic number was 1. They just needed the Bucks to lose. The Wolves went up 24 in the fourth quarter and blew it 23-0 run from the Bucks. They stormed back. The Wolves couldn't score for almost an entire quarter. Huge for the Bucks. Huge. They had easy games last week. They have easy games potentially the rest of the way. We'll talk about why in a second. This was the biggest game left of the Pacers season outside of their own games. An insane rally. The Pacers have got to be furious with the Minnesota Timberwolves for that fourth quarter. That fourth quarter run for Minnesota led to a 40-13 fourth. Really, really terrible stuff from the Wolves. So the Pacers' magic number now to clinch home court is 1. The Pacers need to win 1 game or have the Bucks lose 1 game for them to have home court in the first round. That was, again, it could have been it. This could have been a much more, wow, they did it kind of segment. We still have to watch the standings every day. The Knicks lost to the Celtics. Great game from the Knicks. They made it to overtime. Tough result. And that puts us here. The Pacers can still get to 3 if they win out and the Knicks lose out. They can still fall to 5 if the Pacers lose out and the Bucks win out. So they still have a 3 through 5 range because of the results of Tuesday. So let's talk about some stuff that's going to matter. 1, because the Bucks won that game, they play the Pelicans next. The Detroit Pistons play the Knicks next. If the Bucks win against the Pelicans and the Pistons lose to the Knicks, then those 2 teams are set. The Pistons cannot catch the Bucks anymore. And that matters because the Bucks' final 2 games are both against the Detroit Pistons. It is very possible that the Bucks are playing the Pistons and the Pistons have nothing to play for. They are locked into the 6th seed no matter what. And if that's the case, it could be extremely easy for the Bucks to win both of those games. I bring that up to say now the biggest non-Pacers game remaining on the Pacers schedule is Knicks-Pistons. The Pacers, I think, would like the Pistons to win that game quite a bit. They would have liked the Pistons to beat the Kings on Monday. That didn't happen. because it is very possible that the Bucks are sitting very pretty in their attempt to catch the Pacers by the end of the week. The Knicks also are still a thing that the Pacers have to think about. If the Knicks beat the Pistons, sure, the Pacers wouldn't get to 3, and I think the Pacers' best seed is 4. I've said that a few times, but the Pistons' loss would hurt the Pacers in some ways. So that game will be clarifying. If the Pistons win, that's good for the Pacers in that the Bucks will have to put their best foot forward at least for one more game. If the Knicks win, the Pacers can have it, will be locked into their side of the bracket opposite Boston. In some ways, it's all fine. But it is tough now that they have to think like this. Like, oh man, the Bucks could seriously go 8-0 to end the season and force the Pacers to earn it themselves. So that's the bad stuff for the Pacers. A great day for the Milwaukee Bucks, a huge comeback. That's going to be huge for their momentum. The rest of their games could be extremely easy. The Pacers did not get any favors in that game. And Tyrese Haliburton didn't make that 4-point play against the Bucks. Right now, it's looking like, the Bucks could have a good chance at home court. Here's the good news for the Pacers. They have 3 more games. The Magic on Friday will potentially be tough. The Magic will be trying to win. The Magic will have lots of incentive to win with home court potentially. I mean, they could, in theory, clinch it before then, but the Magic are playing to be the 7 seed. They want to secure it as soon as possible, so they have home court to plan. The Pacers have 2 games left against the Cavs. Another game that I haven't brought up that matters a little to the Pacers that happened on Tuesday is the Thunder beat the Lakers. And that means, yes, the Cavs clinched the 1st seed in the East. And so it is possible, especially after Donovan Mitchell had a little bit of an ankle, yikes, thing against the Kings, that the Cavs would say, all right, we got number 1. Nobody get hurt. Let's get out of this season alive. So it's possible that Thursday's game in Indy, the Cavs are playing nobody important. It's an inconsequential road game. Just get back home and get it over with. It is also possible to me that the Cavs say, let's see what happens. Let's see if we can get to the number 1 seed, right, in the league, because they'd have to catch the Thunder, and I think they'd have the tiebreaker. The Thunder play Wednesday in Phoenix, and then they play Utah and New Orleans. So on one hand, the Cavs could think, oh, if we went out and the Thunder lose out, we get home court in the finals. On the other hand, the Thunder are not going to lose to the Jazz and the Pelicans. So the Cavs win against the Bulls on Tuesday is important in that, yes, it sucks for the Pacers that the Bucks could have a cakewalk the rest of the way. It is good news for the Pacers that the Cavs potentially could be done trying, which is huge for the Pacers because I think the best case scenario for the Pacers, I mean, this is obvious, would be that they win Thursday and beat the Cavs, because then they lock up home court and they have control in their last 2 games if they want to do seeding shenanigans. What I mean by that is, I don't know that the Pacers agree with me. No one would ever answer this on the record. Do the Pacers want 3? Like, do they want to play Boston again? I don't know. I wouldn't want to if I'm the Pacers. If, let's say Thursday, the Pistons beat the Knicks, not impossible, and the Pacers beat the Cavs. So the Pacers would still enter Friday. They could get the 3 seed still. But if they don't want to, they could just say, screw it. Haliburton, you know what? We don't want you to get hurt. Siakam, we don't want you to get hurt. And then they lose to the Magic, and it doesn't matter. And they don't have to care about that result hurting them in the chase for whatever seed they want. So all this to say, while it is bad that the Bucks blew that game, and while I think the Pacers would have liked to see either the Knicks win Tuesday or the Pistons win Monday, all could be moot by Thursday. If the Pacers just beat the Cavs, that's great. It also could come down to the final day because they have a back-to-back before playing that final Sunday in Cleveland, where the Pacers just need one more win to clinch home court, and they could be playing the Cavs for it. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. We'll try to keep you updated here every day. Tomorrow, the Pacers don't play, obviously. And I don't believe Wednesday has any games the Pacers care about. Let me double check the schedule so I don't screw anything up. But tomorrow's show will be with Combo. If you know Combo from Combo's Court, you'll be thrilled. He's the best. We're going to talk about the Pacers and how they're playing heading into the playoffs, what they might need to show the rest of the way. But there are no games Wednesday that the Pacers have any deep sort of seeding care about who wins or how it will affect them now. I guess the Thunder win would officially make it to the Cavs have really no reason to try. So that's probably the only one. So no standing stuff tomorrow. And then Pacers play Thursday, Friday. So you'll get Locked On Pacers about both of those games. And then I'm going to go to Cleveland Sunday about that one. Then it's playoff time. We're going every day from till they're eliminated, including weekends. I'm looking forward to it all. Pacers 1 game away from home court advantage. Ugly win. They beat the Wizards. They get it done. Looking forward to talking with Combo tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for listening. You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Tony Arice. This podcast has a Twitter account. It's at Locked On Pacers, and an Instagram account that's new at Locked On Pacers. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Those are the best places to contact me if you think I said something stupid, like I can't remember which quarter the Pacers were in the bonus in. That was really stupid. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Have a wonderful day. We will see you very soon.